Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Jitin Chadda. I am the founder director of Teamwork Education Foundation. Teamwork Education Foundation has been in the sphere of higher education since 2006. We have two institutes under the trust. One is called Indian School of Business and Finance, which offers programs in economics, finance, and management. And the other institute is Indian Institute of Art and Design, which is a design school. Both of the institutes are based in New Delhi.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Yes. So now moving on to the interview, sir. You've held key positions in educational institutes throughout your professional career. What are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector?
So education, I believe is one of the key building blocks of any nation through human capital formation, research, and ideas. And India, as you know, is almost a 1.4 billion population country with less than half the population under the age of 25. So we are the youngest, country in the world with a very high percentage of population which is, yet to go through schooling or higher education. So that presents a country with, an opportunity as well as a challenge. The opportunity is that we have a demographic dividend, but it's only a dividend if we have a, well-educated, skilled workforce, right? Which would offer huge opportunities for them and for India. But it can also be a nightmare if we don't have a very well-skilled and educated workforce. So I feel education, both primary and higher education, are critical to India's needs more than any other country.
Yes.
And despite India being, one of the fastest growing economies and done fairly well on most parameters in the last, 10, 20 years, I still believe that our higher education institutions haven't reached, say rankings in even top global 100 universities. So if you were to compare Indians top institutions in India with top institutions globally, unfortunately, our rating and ranking isn't there. And I feel that is a challenge that needs to be addressed. The majority of the more popular are the traditional public sector institutions, which to some extent I also believe that they are suffering from, outdated curricula, pedagogy and processes. So we believe we really need to up our game in terms of offering better quality education, more research oriented programs to equipping our students to face the challenges of the 21st century. Personally, I've also had the opportunity to both at the schooling level and as well as the college level study in India and abroad. So I've personally experienced both education systems, and I do believe that Indian systems have their own merit, and I do feel that our schooling system, particularly the national boards such as CBSE or ISE, are fairly rigorous. But when it comes to undergraduate programs or college education, I feel the diversity is too wide. There is very little standardization in outcome. And there is a lot that we can learn and adapt from institutions in UK, US and other leading countries, especially top institutions, best practices, and bring them to India to improve our education system.
Yes, thank you so much. So being the founder and director of both ISBF and IIAD, what is your philosophy of leadership and how would you describe your leadership style?
So my philosophy of leadership has always been, to repose faith in people and give them the opportunity to showcase their own skills and grow within the organization. So we are fairly careful in, selecting people to be part of our organization, or particularly more importantly in leadership positions, because that really matters a lot. But once we have them on board, there's a lot of autonomy that we give them to be able to take on-ground decisions and really chart the path for the institution together.
Yes. How does the curriculum of ISBF and IIAD ensure the best practice of industry?
So the interesting part about both our institutions is that core to our philosophy, that our philosophy is to partner with leading international institutions in their own discipline and get those programs to India to offer students at a fraction of cost what it costs to go abroad. So in ISBF, we have partnered with, the London School of Economics and Political Science, along with the University of London, and we offer their BSc Economics, Finance, Management, and Data Science programs in India. And in case of IIAD, we have partnered with Kingston School of Art, which is a leading design school in UK. They've been ranked number 1 by Guardian League ranking in design and craft in UK. And again, for us is really to be able to, leverage and harness their experience in curriculum, assessment, pedagogy, faculty training and development, infrastructure, resources, delivery process, and bring those here. And that has really, given us access to, I would say, world-class curriculum and processes. And we've been implementing them locally here. And that, I believe, has really upped the quality of what we deliver here locally in India, because we are held to the benchmark of our international partners. We have to meet standards of whether it's Kingston University or London School of Economics.
Your audio is gone.
So we're involved with them to help us undertake faculty training and development, and put best practices into our institutions. So that's where I believe that ISBF and IIAD set themselves a bit apart from the other institutions in India, is because of the standard and the expectations we're set to meet.
Yes. So coming to the functioning of the colleges, sir, is there any insights into how your institutes could be more welcoming to students of different races or economic backgrounds?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't distinguish anybody on race or their background. In fact, we have students from several countries, including Middle East, Africa, East Asia, and other parts of the Indian subcontinent. Being an institute based in Delhi, I can tell you that less than half the students are from the region of Delhi NCR. The balance half of the students are from all over the country and part of Southeast Asia as well, and Middle East and Africa. So we are a fairly diverse student body, and we are quite welcoming to students from various backgrounds and diversities. In fact, in our admission process, we try to ensure that there is a fair amount of diversity in the classroom. And also we would like to focus, we do focus on inclusivity by offering, fair amount of scholarships to students based on needs once they're able to qualify for admission criteria. And there are also several scholarships and monetary prizes and awards which are, given by University of London LSE to our students every year.
Yes. So what do you think your roles and responsibilities to your institutes and the students are?
Our primary responsibility is really to help students develop as learners, to give them a strong start on a journey to becoming subject experts, to impart employability skills and prepare them to solve real world problems. One of the challenges I feel the Indian higher education system faces is that, and this has widely been talked about in media, where eminent people such as Narayan Murthy have said that 70+% of engineering graduates are not employable. So I really do feel that we need to look at the kind of quality of education we are imparting. It shouldn't be based on rote learning. It should be applied education. It should be based on strong conceptual and applied knowledge. And our students should be able to go out and solve real world problems. And that's really our ethos, to prepare them well for that.
So what do you think should be the institute's top priority over the next 10 years?
Over the next 10 years, we are going to continue to work towards, partnering with leading international institutions and bring the best of what we can to students in India. And that's been our philosophy. Benchmark ourselves to the highest standards globally. And try to generally increase the human capital and add value to the country. We are trying to add value to students by exposing them to best practices in pedagogy. At the same time, we also work a lot with our faculty for faculty training and development, to improve general capacity of our faculty and impart again the best practices we can which in turn, would hopefully improve the overall education system that we have in this country.
Yes. So when you first started ISBF and IIAD, what was your vision for the institutes, and has it evolved over time, and how far along in implementing that vision are you?
So our vision was clear that we wanted to offer transnational education to students in India. By transnational education, I mean international programs of high quality with partnership, whether the program is delivered fully in India, the entire program, or whether the program is delivered part in India and part in another country. And we have stuck to that vision. In fact, we started with ISBF and our LSE and University of London partnership. We've gone and set up a design school 6 years ago, and again partnered with a leading school there. And we really want to continue down that path because we feel that's the right strategy for us to be able to bring the best of what we can to our country. I mean, in line with the vision, we have just recently launched a new program in partnership with Kingston Business School London. It's a BSc Business Management 3-year program where you do year 1 and year 2 in India. And on completion of year 2, you transfer to Kingston University campus in London and complete your degree there in year 3. You graduate in UK and you get all the benefits of a UK graduate, whether it's 2 years post-study work visa, internship or employment opportunities in the UK, masters abroad, further studies in UK. I think this is again a value-add program that we've introduced, which is we've managed to bring down the cost of a typical UK study program, which would be about 90 lakhs over 3 years, down to about 35 lakh rupees over 3 years. So we're aiming to do two things. We're aiming to widen the access of quality education for people who couldn't perhaps earlier even consider going abroad because of the high prohibitive cost. By reducing the cost to less than 50%, I believe more and more parents and students can consider this option, which they otherwise wouldn't have. And in particularly given today's environment with the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of students are perhaps rethinking for health and safety reasons to not go abroad this year. And this would be an interesting alternative for them to do part India and part UK education, which would be financially also more economical as well as would take care of health and safety concerns. Besides that, I think we've done fairly well. I believe that we are a leading, transnational education provider in the country. And in all our partnerships, we've not only met, but we have also exceeded the level of expectations of our partners. ISBF is one of the leading providers of international education, being one of LSE's top 5 institutions globally, among more than 70 worldwide. And even with Kingston University, our experience and partnership has been very robust. They've been very pleased with the quality of education that we've been able to impart, and that is why we have now extended the association to the business school as well. And we would like to continue down this path and seek more interesting opportunities for students to have an opportunity for transnational education.
Yes, great to hear. Yeah. So for the general public, what would you like people to know about your institutes that they might not know?
I think, as I've perhaps maybe partly answered in your previous questions, that what our institutions offer is, transnational education. They're offering an international quality education at a fraction of cost in our own country, including some programs where you do part in India and part abroad, which I believe is fairly unique in the Indian landscape. And it offers a very interesting and unique opportunity for students, to experience high quality education without leaving their country. Again, I'll give example. I've spoken about the new offering that we have is 2 years in India and 30 in the UK with Kingston Business School. I can tell you that our partnership with LSE has also been unique because many students have also transferred out to other prestigious universities in the second year, including LSE itself. And number of students go for top-rated master's programs globally, including we've had two students last year have gone to LSE on full scholarship which is very, very rare. And that also for MSc Economics. So I think what we set out to do, we are on the path, and we are fairly pleased with where we have arrived, and we feel we have a lot more to offer, to our students in India.
Yes. Great. So what do you see as ISBF and IIED's greatest strengths?
Our greatest strengths are having, the right processes and systems and, pedagogy to deliver really high quality education, whether it's, working on faculty training and development, whether it's resources, whether it's how we teach, in our design school, IIED, the entire program is taught through project-based learning, which is far more applied learning, which works very, very well in design education. Frankly, our greatest achievements is really the achievements of our students over the years. Our students have, graduated from our institutions and have great career opportunities, are doing very well in the corporate sector in India, are doing actually quite well in the corporate sector abroad as well. And we have seen our students, from IIS, we have go to the best institutions for masters, whether it's LSE, Oxford, Cambridge, Yale. And it's very heartening to see when you actually see, a student achieving something, you feel your time and effort has been worth it. And so for us, we'll always measure our achievement through our student success more than anything else. And I also believe that we are really focused on investing a lot in faculty training and development, and it's heartening to see how that translates into better quality education and delivery overall.
Yes. Moving on to the next question. What are some of the biggest challenges you see, both for higher education in general and for your institutes specifically?
I think the biggest challenge in India for the higher education is, I go back to my same problem that, we have a very large young population, and it is critical for the country and nation as a whole to ensure that they're well educated, well skilled, so that they have meaningful jobs and they can add value. Because if they're not, I think we'll have a fair disaster in our hands. And given that COVID pandemic, which has recently occurred, one thing it's made clear is that we need to be far more equipped technologically to be able to, do most of our jobs today, including really, it's about making students more employable. The opportunities exist, but at the same time, I feel we haven't done our best as a country to impart really high quality education. In India, we have a number of public and private institutes, perhaps maybe an oversupply. I remember reading a report of AICTE that maybe perhaps 30-40% of engineering seats don't get filled.
Yes.
So one can't say we don't have enough institutions. The sad part is why aren't those seats getting filled, and why aren't those engineers getting employed? So the challenge is really to focus on curriculum and pedagogy. Unfortunately, I feel a lot of regulation in our country is focused on land and building.
True.
And what kind of land are you on. I think the focus more has to be on systems and processes and pedagogy and faculty training and development, because that's where the real value I feel is added. But I'm fairly optimistic. I think a number of institutions in our country have been, come up in the last 5-7 years who are quite focused on imparting quality education. And we need many more such institutions. And we need to look at the best in the world, and learn from them and implement those processes and systems in our landscape to ensure that students get the best of learning. So our students have to be competitive on a global scale now. As we are having this interview on a Zoom call. I could be sitting in USA for all that matter. How does it matter whether I'm sitting in Delhi and you're sitting in Chennai, right? So today our students can get, I remember, I read an article recently in the Times of India that Facebook is saying that we can now hire people to work from anywhere in the world.
Yes.
They don't have to come to office. Twitter had come out with a release that people can work from indefinitely. Now that opens an interesting opportunity. You could be sitting in India and working for Twitter or Facebook in US. You don't have to physically be in US anymore. It saves the company a lot of costs. It gives us tremendous opportunities, our youth, right? So now when they're evaluating you, they're not evaluating you whether you have a Indian degree or an international degree. Perhaps somebody in US doesn't even know the names of top Indian institutions, but they might have heard of top international institutions. And they're evaluating you on the same benchmark as they would evaluate anybody else in USA. So here is a challenge and an opportunity both. The opportunity is that if you're capable, you can actually work globally without any visa or boundary restrictions. But at the same time, you're held to a global benchmark, of quality, right? If I have the capability to be a great, salesman, programmer, or whatever else, and I can showcase that, then the opportunity to work for, top institution companies around the world is equal. So the world is far more flat today than it has ever been, and I feel that's the direction the world is moving towards. So it becomes far more important for us to ensure that our students' education is benchmarked to the best in the world, because now the competition is global. It throws up tremendous opportunities. We all must work towards ensuring that our graduates are capable, to be able to compete, not only compete but thrive in that environment.
Yes. So moving on to the next question, this is something that you had already talked about in some detail, and it's relevant to your institute. So what are some plans that you're currently or will be designing for your institute's international affairs for students?
So as we are as international as it already gets, and that's part of our vision, and we would continue to go on that path. I just recently mentioned that we have very recently launched the Kingston University Business Management Program, which is 2 years in India and third year in UK. We would look forward perhaps down the line to offer such programs beyond UK, maybe other countries as well, and partner. Right now, most all our partnerships have been with UK institutions, but we are exploring association partnerships with institutions in other parts of the world as well. That's the path that we want to continue to move on.
Yes.
For example, even in Indian Institute of Art and Design, although we have a collaboration with Kingston School of Art, we are in the process of signing student exchange, faculty exchange MOUs with, design school in Australia, design school in Canada, and a design school in USA, and further design schools even within UK. So the idea is to expand the portfolio even to our given students, the opportunities they can have, and not just with our partner institutions, but beyond them as well.
Yes. Yes.
And
go on.
Add that, that, because we are partnering with leading institutions in the UK, our faculty actually undergo a formal qualification. It's called Postgraduate Certificate in Higher Education.
Okay.
It's a UK qualification on how to teach, which is a fantastic qualification. It talks to you about assessment, pedagogy, curriculum design. Because I believe that, just because you have a PhD, right, and that's how the academia works, and you're recruited and you have a PhD and you have a good education from a good institution to come and become a lecturer. But nobody is taught anybody how to teach.
Yes.
And in UK is now a rule that a young faculty coming in at lecturer level has to, while they are faculty member, on the side do a qualification which teaches them how to teach. And a lot of our faculty have already gone through it, and a number of faculty are going through that process. So that is something we will continue to again invest on a lot in faculty training and development, and including a formal qualification our faculty gets. It is a postgraduate certificate in higher education.
Yes. Yes. So finally, any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students today?
Yeah, absolutely. I am extremely optimistic There are tremendous opportunities for youth today in India, better than ever before. Really the world is your oyster. You know, work hard. Take your education seriously, and you could be working for any company anywhere in the world, sitting right here in your hometown or physically there. The concept of boundaries is gone. It offers really exciting opportunities. Be very discerning in which college you take your admission in, because that matters a lot and charts your future career trajectory. From our perspective, look at colleges not only have a good reputation within India, but have a good reputation globally, right? You got to take a global view of anything that you're evaluating. Sometimes I feel that a lot of our students bright students end up going to renowned public institutions because A, they're subsidized in cost. And B, that they've been around for 50, 80 years and there is a brand and a legacy to it. But I think a lot of times students don't ask that question that, okay, perhaps going into a public institution has a cutoff of 93 or 94%, right? And to get 94, 95%, you're in the, top 5 odd percent of the, or maybe 2 or 3% of this, school pass out in that year. So you're a bright student. The question you must ask is that, what is the value add that institution is going to do over the next 3-4 years? Yes, it's prestigious to get into it because it's a public institution and large number of people apply. But I feel often students don't question, parents don't question, what is the value addition that institution is going to do to my student in the next 3-4 years? And I believe that should be the first question you should ask yourself and the institution, that how are you going to make me better than I already am? So if you're a very bright student, fantastic. What are you going to do? And what challenge me to become better than where I've coming from? I feel, unfortunately, a lot of public institutions do not do justice to, the capable students that they take in. In my experience, being in higher education for 14 years, that I feel those students have so much potential, and, given the right pedagogy and the right environment, they could have done so much better from where they started. So that's a very, very important aspect I believe one should evaluate any institution on. Is the value add the institution is going to do to you most important? And work hard and enjoy yourself. College life is one of the best times of anybody's life. It's an opportunity to work hard, grow, and enjoy yourself as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir, for spending time with us and sharing your knowledge. I'm sure it's going to be very useful to all those who are watching.